This is the January 28th Tiverton School Committee meeting, and if everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do not have Mrs. Sherman with us this evening. She's under the weather, so we will send her our very best. We have no one that has signed up for open forum either, so we will move immediately into special recognition. We have Dr. Sanchioni will be speaking on behalf of Mrs. Craven this evening on an AP Computer Science College Board Award. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a great way to start our meeting with some recognitions for some well-deserving educators and students. So, yes, the school's received an AP Computer Science Award. I'm going to ask our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Lee Cusimano, to come up, explain to you what the award is, and then she will be presenting it to our AP Computer Science teacher, Ms. Judy Moore.
Hello. So, congratulations to Ms. Moore. She is the recipient of the 2024 College Board AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award. To explain what the award is the College Board AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award recognizes schools that are expanding young women's access to computer science coursework in AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A. Specifically, College Board is honoring schools that have either reached 50% or higher female examinee representation in one of both of the KP Computer Science courses. A total of 1,153 schools are being recognized for their work toward equal female representation during the 2023-24 school year. Only 12 schools in Rhode Island are receiving this honor, and Judy Moore is one of those people doing so. Before I call Judy up, I just wanted to basically say that Judy has broken all sorts of records in our CTE programs and has continually closed the gender equity gap. So, Judy, this award is wonderful, but not even surprising. Come up, Judy, say a few words.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I'm accepting this award on behalf of our whole school. This is not a one-person mission at all. Between our guidance staff, who are amazing, and they are, they're the ones that are working with the girls, besides me, to give them the confidence and to move forward with computer science. That was once a field that what was male-dominated, and women are finally saying, you know what, I can do this too. So, and I give a lot of credit, like I said, to our guidance staff. Lee Cusimano, as the CTE coordinator, also has pushed the computer science aspect, as well as all of the other programs that we have. But I think when you have so many females representing these fields, then our students look to us and are given the confidence that they need to reach out and try it. And they're doing phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Judy, come around.
Where my cup? Oh.
Don't do this one.
Thank you.
And I will say, coming from a technical industry, that the number of women involved in computer science, technology, data science is increasing all the time. And I couldn't be prouder for those coming up through the ranks as they, come from these excellent educational programs, and they will be an integral part of the future. Mm-hmm. They're going to run the future, let's face it. All right, thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have our consent agenda. We have school committee meeting minutes from December 16th, from January 14th of 2025, from the executive session from January 14th, as well as the joint meeting with the Tiverton Town Council and Budget Committee from January 14th. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you. So for chairperson's remarks today, I'm going to continue to try to put something on here so you guys can listen to me for 30 seconds at every meeting. It's my only opportunity. I did want to, first of all, congratulate the members of the committee who were able to participate in the RIASC School Committee 101 on Saturday, January 18th. They gave up their entire day to go through this, and both our new members did attend. I attended as well. And, having been through this before, there's always something new that can stand out and for all of us to learn. Some of the topics we went over were the Open Meetings Act, the Access to Public Records Act, ethics, the school funding formula, which may have been new to, especially to our new members. And then, again, the school committee roles and responsibilities, which was put on by Mr. Scungio and his partners. They pretty much used us as their trial run a few weeks back, and they presented it once again to a much larger audience. So kudos to them for doing a great job. The one thing that stands out to me that was, a focus of that session and has come to us in several of Dr. Sanchioni's documentation over time was the mention of Rhode Island General Law 16(2), which is the general law specific to education. Rhode Island General Law 16, Chapter 2, 9.1A11 specifically, is something that I hold dear. I'm going to try to somehow integrate it into our future agendas, but it says, recognize that the first and greatest concern of a school committee must be the educational welfare of the students attending public schools. That is our most important remit. And we, I try to remember it, I know we all do, and every now and again I'm going to bring it up so that, just to remind us all as we get into various topics, that is our greatest concern, the educational welfare of the students attending public schools here in Tiverton. And that's my 30 seconds or so. Old business, consideration and possible votes. Item A, 6A, Tiverton Town Council capital request for THS heating repair. Mr. Andrade.
Just to reiterate, we met with the town council last night. They graciously approved this specific request, and I'll get into more in the next agenda item. But THS heating repair itself continues to be a little bit of an issue. We have additional heating issues, if you heard my conversation with the council last evening, but this specifically, we were trying to figure out why we continue to have compressors fail. We have 4 compressors at the high school, 3 at the middle school. And what these compressors are, they're a rooftop unit, as I said last meeting, rooftop unit, and they give HVAC, AC, and heat through a unit that comes through the ceiling. In the high school itself, this one unit I'm speaking of serves a little bit of the library and then all the front area between guidance suite all the way to the nurse's office. So with the help of a couple vendors, they did some diagnostics, and the review that came back was, they reviewed connection boxes in the ceiling. These are the connection boxes connected to the rooftop. They also reviewed the piping throughout the connections of the system itself. And then they also used technology to validate all levels were appropriate. After review was completed, many issues were revealed. Therefore, we knew we had a problem, but we had to wait for the full review by LG Engineering and Quality Assurance teams in Korea. As we learned on January 22nd from the LG certified rep we were working with in ICM Mechanical, the prior failed compressor was improperly installed by the previous vendor, causing the unit to fail before well before the expected useful life. To give a couple of examples of this issue, it's basically trying to run a car without oil. Oil's leaving the compressor, not returning. And then the second issue is the electrical. The unit on the rooftop is kicking out the proper controls, but the unit in the ceiling is not responding to the signal, so no really heat's coming out, or if there is, it's very little. After numerous conversations with the prior vendor, they weren't really trying to rectify the situation. So I'm here tonight to, as I said last night, graciously, the council approved this not to exceed number of 20,000 to fix this issue. I just don't trust the original installer after learning about these problematical issues. We will have recourse with our attorney, as we discussed recently, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. This is where we stand with the heating. As of today, we're still waiting on the LG vendor to get us on the schedule. He's basically the local vendor from the area. He's actually out of New Hampshire, so he has a wide range of coverage. So we're hoping to get that fixed as soon as possible. We're just waiting on some parts and hopefully get him on the get us on the schedule as soon as possible.
Thank you. First of all, for the committee, this is an item that came up after we last met.
Correct.
And Mr. Andrade reached out to me, and because the town council was meeting before we were meeting today, I gave him the verbal go-ahead to present that to the town council before it came to us. I felt that, it was too important for us to put it down. With that being said, typically what we would do is vote to go ahead and move it forward to the town council. Last night, what they did was they approved a blanket, and there are additional issues you'll be
Correct.
speaking to, but they did approve a blanket $100,000 for us to tackle any and all of our current heating issues. Obviously, Mr. Andrade's going to, come up with all the bidding and whatever the requirements may be, and go back to the town council and show them that, this is ultimately what it cost us. But we had issues at Fort Barton. We've had issues here at the high school. They're system-wide, there are a few things. So what they've done is they said, okay, take the $100,000, let's see what you have to do, and they'll just take back what's not necessary. So as far as us taking a vote at this point, it would be a moot point. It's already been approved by the council. Does anyone have any questions on that?
The $100,000, is that to address only the heating issues? Is that to address the roof problem we have now? Is it encompassing all of those things?
So the 100
Are
is.
are we going to
yeah.
have $100,000 and do what we can?
So $100,000 is going to cover what's already been done
Okay.
at a couple of schools. As we discussed, 20,000's already been committed here.
Okay.
That compressor itself was 13,000. We've already spent 20 at Fort Barton, which is about 40. And then there was another 10,000 spent early at the high school, about 42,000 total.
Okay.
They're going to cover that. They're also going to cover this additional 20, and then whatever's left over between that $100,000 delta will cover these additional items that need to be done district-wide. We don't have the quotes for those now, so they were gracious enough to give us that kind of not-to-exceed number and get it done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
And,
Diane.
yeah, and to that point, I do want to recognize that the town council was very appreciative of us coming in front of them, and they were also very willing to, they understand that these school buildings are town buildings, and that they must be maintained. And so they really didn't even give us any kind of, any kind of problem about this. This is something that's important. We need the kids to be warm. We're in the middle of winter. They don't want kids wearing mittens while they're trying to write. So, again, many thanks to them for making this process as smooth as it was last evening.
Very good.
The next item, capital request update. Brandon, do you have anything else to add?
I can go over what's been approved, if you would
Sure.
like. So, as you know, all these other requests went in front of the school committee last meeting, and then we went in front of the town council yesterday.
That was the one that we approved.
Correct,
At
last
okay.
meeting, yep. So almost everything was approved other than two projects, one being the electrical trench for the lower athletic fields. And that's because we have two community participants that, contractors that are willing to do the work for almost nothing. We're still working with them. They're gonna show up in a couple weeks, do some measurements, et cetera. But we're lucky to take advantage of that, so we definitely thank them now and in the future for getting that done. Hopefully sooner, probably March timeframe. The other project that wasn't approved was the touch views, which the council wasn't fully against. They just wanted some additional information, which we started to gather today, and we will revisit that in the future. Other than that, just to read off all the rest, it's the wiring and cabling project was improved, the bathroom petitions at the 3 elementary schools. We already spoke about the district heating costs. Exterior doors, the 11 additional, there was 8 that's already been done from a prior request 16 to 18 months ago. Athletic field maintenance, tennis courts, and the roof diagnostics we'll get to, and 7C, but those are the items that were approved last evening for a total of $407,135. So we thank the council for their support.
And in transparency, you pulled the painting request?
Correct, thank you. Yes, Peter and I excluded the painting requests.
Right.
We're hoping to take that in-house.
Okay, and as such, it wasn't approved?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions for
Well,
Brenda?
I'm just sort of like, process, like, you added this, you pulled that, like, I'm just sort of, the process for like making sure that the school committee's in the loop and the school
Yeah.
committee's approving the things that, I mean, because we did approve something, we didn't know about the other one, so I'm just more concerned about the process of not having this board being aware. Town councils, I agree. The fact that they're jumping in and embracing all this is wonderful, and I couldn't thank them enough, but it's just more the process of having this board, making sure that, we're approving and we know what's going on.
I think we can do better. This is our first big go-around with a capital request in a while. It was something that came together rather quickly, and no, I agree, and it's a point well taken.
Yeah, absolutely, but, I'll echo this, these heating requests, of course, just
I mean, because remember, guys,
need to
we
get
don't
done.
have to just meet every 2 weeks. If there's something
Correct.
that's urgent and that we need to meet, we can meet. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
the
we
problem-
only need 48 hours notice. I just
Yeah.
feel like, and I don't know, maybe if we could, going forward, maybe we approve up to a certain amount and then
Mm-hmm.
let you decide. I'm okay with that too, what you think is a priority and moving it around. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that too. It's just, I really don't like that we're approving things and it's getting pulled, or things are being put on that we weren't approving. So maybe we can just even have just a broader scope to allow you guys to do what you need to do. And I'm okay with that too, saying, here's a rough idea, if you guys will approve up to 150K, and then you can decide what you want to go forward to the council with. That's okay too. I just,
Yeah.
let's look for just maybe a broader approval going forward to give you the flexibility that you guys all need.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that would work out well. I have some experience with that in other engagements, but that's the idea, just because even
Yeah.
48 hours wasn't going
Sure.
to be enough this time, just because we had to get on the council agenda within less than 24 hours, unfortunately. But moving forward, I agree.
And definitely, we can work on the process.
Yeah,
I think the point of putting it, bringing us into it is that we do have the care and control of the schools, and we need to know what's happening. If things are breaking, we need to know it. We need to be able to advocate for you as well. So we'll continue to work on it.
yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you. We will then go into new business. Item 7A, new CTE program at THS. Landscape Architecture and Design.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, I'm going to link A and, if you don't mind, B together. It's a CTE partnership with Tiverton Police, so it all has to do with CTE programs. And I'm going to ask our CTE director from the high school, Ms. Lee Cusimano, to come up and speak to these two topics.
Hi again. So we have two exciting things to bring to the table. The first thing is we have a brand-new CT program that we've written for. It's called Plant Science, Landscaping, and Groundskeeping. And that particular CT program encompasses several different things. So the pathway involves an introduction to landscaping and groundskeeping design. Then the second course is greenhouse operations and management. And the third is a choice between AP Environmental Science or Environmental Sciences and Sustainability. And the fourth course is called Advanced Greenhouse Landscaping and Groundskeeping Management. So it encompasses a variety of careers, so that students who decide they're going to do a post-secondary education and go to college, we have some credits built in. If students decide they're going to leave our school and go right into the workforce immediately, we have that built in. So students at the completion of this 4 years will have OSHA 10 certification, industrial credits from the NOCTI exam, URI pesticide safety exam preparation class, Rhode Island DEM pesticide application license, and 4 CCRI credits for soil science and online course that's designed specifically for that. Now, if you look at this particular program, it's very unique because only very few of these exist in the state, and particularly on this side of the state. So we are groundbreaking, no pun intended, but we're doing things that has not been done on here in the East Bay. So this will reach many students here in the area who do not have that opportunity. This particular program is actually, we have a new hire, Stephen Weatherall, who is going to spearhead that program and be our CT plant science lead for that. And then the science department is going to be contributing to the greenhouse and the botany and all those things as well. So this program will go through the science department. Specifically, that will be our own department. And the science department actually weaves through the public safety as well as our CNA. So it's going to be a way to expand our science learning in a very unique and different way. Any questions on that program?
Lee, Stephen Weatherall, is he a new hire or is he
Yes.
someone that's already?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a new hire. He's been fantastic. He came in, he took over Dylan's position, and he's spearheading the forensics program very, very well. In fact, he has forensic background. He was doing that beforehand. And he also has a lot of plant science background and a CT background as well, so he's very excited for it.
Okay, so he replaced Dylan.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I say new hire, I get everybody all excited.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's funny.
Thank you.
Maybe not for you guys up here, but for me, it's funny.
You keep laughing. Thank you for asking that, because that was,
I saw lights go on. I thought it was an idol or something. I was like, wow. No,
She's like, wow, they're really excited about this.
no, the voice. I thought you really liked what I was singing. I was like, oh, all right. I got several judges.
so it does beg the question, though, I mean, and we, let me just reiterate, we don't have a role in approving CTE programs.
Correct.
That you bring it to us essentially to make sure that we're aware.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. These classes specific to this new CTE, with the exception of perhaps the environmental science ones that may have already existed, they were all brand new.
Yes, and they don't have to run all at the same time. So our AP Environmental is currently running, our Environmental Oceanography class is running, and then any other classes you can put in there, you only put one in. You wouldn't put them all in at the same time. Okay. And what you can do is you can offer different parts of these credentialings at different times. So I wrote the program so it's not, let's say for argument's sake, we're in AP Environmental and a student wants to get his or her pesticide license. It's built in that licensor. So the key here is when you write for a CTE, which also affects our rating as a district and a school, is, as you remember, we did the accountability statistical analysis. Any of the credentials I'm bringing forward are helping our school. So the more times a kid takes a NOCTI exam, our numbers go up. A student takes a Ocean 10 training, numbers go up. Student takes a 4-course CCRI class at any time, that's why it's an online, numbers go up. So every one of these programs has got several good things. Yeah, so we can look at the numbers, and that's wonderful, but students then can leave here with many, many credentialings that other schools are not offering, which can offer a lot of choices for people in the area to consider Tiverton as their high school.
Excellent.
It's exciting. It's very exciting.
It's going to be great, and we're having a portable greenhouse is going to be coming in very soon. I will do a lot of work. You're welcome to be as involved as you like. If you have a green thumb, please be so. Please join us, and you're welcome to come by.
Can I send a delegate?
Sorry? Okay. And also, before I forget, we have an open house for a CTE Tuesday evening, 6 to 7. Our students are going to be wonderful. They do the tours and lead it, so I just want to plug that as well.
Thank you.
And then I have a second exciting moment. Any other questions on plant science?
So how does this CTE, how does it work with scheduling?
Oh, easy.
So
Actually easy.
Are they just basically choosing this instead of some other AP or like how is that?
Here's the creativity. It's funny because we finished our RIASC evaluation.
I just want to make sure we're not creating a bunch of CTEs at the expense
No,
of
never.
others.
See, the beauty of what's going on right now at the high school is that our schedule is unique. So, for example, in my role as district teacher of the year, I went to a meeting a few weeks ago, and you're allowed to do presentations about what you do. So I presented what we've been doing here and all the credentials. And they said, well, how are you doing it? And I said, the schedule. Well, the room went, you thought I was giving away like gold. The room went wild. And I'm like, that's the only thing you're going to ask me? And I'm going to give credit to Ms. Craven. She's not here this evening, but she's probably watching. She led a scheduling committee. She asked us what we wanted to do. And she got real creative with our teachers. And by removing the study halls, the students are taking more electives. So their time is spent. Now, electives could be like over the top, and electives could be lighter. But it gives more time for students to delve into those subject matters longer. So if a student is taking like greenhouse operations, that student's learning a little more biology, a little more math, learning financial literacy, marketing skills. So it's not just a fluff. People think it's a fluff. It's not. So it builds it in. Then certain classes can fulfill other requirements. So we're not making it so that we're blowing off the doors of the school. We're using what's already in the building with the faculty that we already have, with their expertise that they can bring, their training, and then like you can't just teach these classes unless you're vetted. So like this young man is being vetted and he passed the test. So that's how we kind of get there. And that's probably the question you're worried
Excellent.
about.
Yeah, no, because like I said, we never, it's because you think back in the day, right?
Back in the day.
Scheduling, had to give up something to take something else. So you guys have creatively
Use the space. The day is there. So instead of a student, I'm not saying study halls are waste, but like instead of a student having several downtime, the student is engaging. So that's why over 60% of our building is in a CTA program.
I love that. Okay.
So they're learning 16 APs, 5 EPs, and students could get Ocean 10 training. I mean, and they could right to the workforce.
Perfect.
Someone leaves this program, they already have their license, and they could start working in the greenhouses and landscaping. I do want to make a shout out to some of our partners, though. Do you remember Chris Riley, who graduated here a few years ago? He's one of our partners with his company. And we also, I'm going to forget his name now, Amanda Manchester, Fanatic Nurseries, Tiverton Land Trust. Then I also reached out to the Master Gardeners of URI. They're going to come out at some point. I applied for some of their services, but they're overextended, but they will make a pass-through at some point. And then anybody else in the community. I got a lot of help in here from the middle school because they had some teachers that had done quite a bit of work in their courtyard. And now I'm working on developing a STEAM night for our elementary school teachers, and Ms. Dolly Welch will speak to that as well. And part of that, by working with Gail Pont and Ranger right now, they have a plant science situation going on. So my goal is to make it a K through 12 initiative so that all your sciences, all your maths, everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction.
When do you sleep leave?
I don't.
Thank you very much.
You're
That
welcome.
answers my question.
The second one, I'm sorry, I'm also here. I'll go quickly as I can. This is super important, this one. I wanted to give a big shout out. David's a memo that came across the desk, and they mentioned my name, and I just put the people together. This is a tremendous shout-out to Andy Gaychuk, Lieutenant LeDuc, and Officer Smoldeau. They have worked tirelessly to make this program for our public safety, law enforcement public safety program skyrocket. And what they did is they came up with a plan. I don't know if you have this plan. Did you get, this is impressive. So Andy teaches public safety and criminal courts. Now, because of the scheduling, those classes are back to back. So Andy is now going to be involved with the academy, I'm overwhelmed by the names of so many things I'm involved in. Citizens Police Academy is usually done after school, which is difficult for our students. So Lieutenant LeDuc, Officer Smoldeau, and Andy Gaychuk said, why don't we bring it in? So they rewrote some of the course. They brought it into the school. So if you're taking public safety, you're getting one pathway of that Citizens Police Academy. And if you're in the criminal court, you get another avenue. So like here's some of the highlights. Like they're gonna be involved with the police station, the fire station, animal control, policing, comforting service dogs, the criminal scene investigation. Next week, we're having here our police report writing. We have forensics day. So all the things we've been slowly building is now built into a hardcore curriculum. So not only is Andy teaching the Korean court, which gets New England, I think it's like 8 CCRI credits you can get from that. So that presentation that I did the other day, when I showed how many credits kids can get, you can graduate from this school, even if you take a CTE and not necessarily go down that pathway, can still graduate a semester early from college. That's what we're doing here. And thanks to you for supporting us, we can get that done. And our administration, because without them, without Dr. Sanchioni, Ms. Kraeger, Brandon, and Ms. Craven, without anybody giving that leadership and that clearance, this wouldn't happen. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Great presentation, as usual.
I was looking at some of this Citizens Police Academy course list, and I'm like, it's so interesting. And it just brought me to, this isn't your grandfather's high school anymore, right? We are definitely moving forward into the 21st century with 21st century offerings, and I couldn't be happier. So, thank you again. Next on the agenda, we have the high school admin building roof diagnostics at a cost of $8,340. Mr. Andrade.
So we had Tremco Roofing conduct a preliminary roofing inspection in early December at 3 of our locations, Tiverton Middle School, Range Elementary, and the high school admin buildings. The high school roof showed significant issues, including multiple ponding areas across various sections, while the middle school and Ranger were in pretty good condition. Overall, it was recommended that we perform more detailed diagnostics. Tremco will conduct a comprehensive moisture analysis of the roof system to locate areas of compromise. This step is crucial in addressing immediate leak sources and guiding repair efforts. Potential repairs would be made under the current warranty without thorough diagnostics to resolve certain issues while overlooking others. This detailed analysis is critical for both short and long-term planning of the building. As you will see in your packet tonight, I did share some pictures of the preliminary report that was done from walking around and drone usage. You can see this roof at the high school is less than 7 years old, and it's got quite a few issues, including ponding, which is the most serious issue because ponding should not exceed 2 square feet. We have some areas that 2-3 squares to 5 squares, you're talking 300 square feet are compromised potentially. And what that means is the water is basically sitting there and it could be going through the roof potentially. We might not notice a leak in the 3rd floor. However, what's going on in the ceiling? So at the cost of $8,340, this is basically proceeding with a more detailed scope of the work so we can present it to the contractor and under the warranty. This is obviously, again, warranted just so we have some basically firepower to go after the warranty. This was another emergency request that occurred due to timing of receiving the report. The money, literally got it on January 22nd, had to submit it to town council for their agenda last evening. This was also approved on top of the heating, so I thank the council again for that.
And just like the item that we had under old business, normally we would be taking a vote for this. However, because it's already been approved, it's a moot point. The question that keeps coming back to me, though, with all of these items, Brandon, is should we schedule a meeting with the building committee to kind of go through all of these issues and look for their input? Because we do have a few experts on that committee, and we also have people that were involved in these major projects when they were done. And they may be able to shed some light on what's going on. I don't know, but certainly it's something I would like us to consider.
Okay. Yep, we can, I'll talk to Peter in the office and we'll put an agenda, meeting agenda
I mean, you
together.
were already a member of the building
Correct.
committee, so it's kind of nice, you know.
Yep, yep.
But I think, you know, we have some community members that definitely have some expertise here, and, you know, hearing from Mike Mendes at the same time, and our school principals who, you know, more than likely have been involved with these discussions too. You know, maybe it could be a good opportunity to bring that group together and kind of just go over all of this and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, and good point. I want to give a shout out to Mike Mendes for taking this initiative to get Trempco here to do this review. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't have been done and this probably wouldn't have been found.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions, comments? All right. We will move forward then. Thank you. So let's go into our FY26 budget presentations. Here we begin. It's the end of January, and we will start to dive in. Will we go in the order as listed?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair, I think that's a good.
So, Mr. Technology, let's kick things off with our technology presentation.
Good evening. Daniel Andrade, Director of Technology. Our department consists of Marco Pimentel, Technology Specialist, and Shelly Camara, who's the half-time Technology Clerk and half-time Guidance Secretary. I'm going to give you guys a deep overview of every software, every item we purchase, and we could, have a conversation. And if you have any questions about any softwares that we use, I'll happily answer them. No. Give me 1 second. It was just working. I think I just gotta click the screen.
Is it always the head of technology?
Yeah, can you click the It works when I'm close, so it just works. Yeah, no, just go forward. Forward's good. Awesome. So our first account here is account 57309, which is our technology-related hardware. So this is everything physical that's in the teacher's hands, students' hands, mounted onto the ceilings, the walls, etc. So we budget here $166,000 roughly. Most of it goes towards purchasing laptops for 1st, 5th, and 9th grade students. Everything else is staff devices, projector replacements, and then additional, document cameras, monitors, keyboards, mice, everything in that realm of stuff. You could go over to the next one. This is just a quick little picture of what's purchased and, how our students use touch views in classrooms and how we use them also like run PDs and stuff.
Before you go any further,
Yeah.
on the topic of capital.
Yep.
In FY '25, we requested of the town council and were given the funding for our technology hardware. I believe in total, that included the Chromebooks and any number of other things. On here, you're talking about touch views. That was already requested in a previous capital request. Is that why, I don't imagine the whole purchase is $5,500.
What do you think? That's touch views? No,
Yeah.
that's projectors is $5,500. On that last slide, that's.
It's just the projectors.
That's just projectors. That's like these guys hanging from the ceiling.
So
That's
the
not
touch views are not part of this
No,
presentation?
because we went to the Capitol for it, they're out of this presentation. But we did get a grant to purchase, I think it was like 6 of them. But that was all grant funded, so
It's also
for them.
not part of this?
it's also not part of this because we.
So everything you're listing here, I just want to be really clear.
Yeah.
Everything you're listing here right now is going to be part of the operating budget. However, we'll be making a request to include it as capital when we go in front of the town council
I'll
at some date in the future?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Everyone understands that, right?
So the 166,029, you're going to be requesting that to be pulled and budgeted for FY '26 as capital?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You can move one more. So this next account here this is where we purchase everything that's like back end, so it's not anything in the students' hands. It's our Google renewals, our Microsoft renewals, our content filters, our printing service, things like that. We request $55,819 in this account. Some of these do have like a 2.5% increase, so if you look at the presentation from last year to this year, you'll see that influx of certain ones. Some of them are long-term contracts, so we have a fixed price for those.
Tell me a little bit more, just so that everyone, content filtering, obviously, it's security.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
G Suite renewal?
that's Google.
Okay,
Google.
oh, there we go. And then the Microsoft renewal is sort of everything else?
It's our Microsoft account. So we have like Microsoft Labs here, and
Yeah.
then we also have Chromebooks for the students. So they need 2 separate like account logins to use different types of devices in our district.
Okay, thanks.
For those items that are multi-year commitments, I don't see anything noted on any of these. Is that because they aren't, or?
So they are, Aristotle K-12, that's one I could speak to. We're on our 3rd year right now with that one. So we'd be, not FY '26, FY '27, I would be getting a new contract from them. So
Okay.
these are, I just wanted to give you guys the exact numbers for, I guess, this year.
So I think this is great.
Yeah.
You've done an excellent job here. I reviewed the entire thing, and it adds up, too.
Yeah.
I do ask that moving forward
Okay.
for future, that if it's, if an expense is part of let's say, a 3-year contract, and this is the second of 3 years, that
Yeah.
we list it right on there, so that
Okay.
there's never any.
Yeah, on a couple of the other
confusion.
pages, I do break it down like that.
Do you?
On this one, I didn't. I was trying to save a little bit of space and make it all fit and look nice. But I could definitely give you those numbers if you want them on which contracts are multi-year. But a few of the items, when we go further, they are broken down like that for you. More of our like leases are broken down like that, not our, contracts for like 3 years, but a lot of the leases I break down on a year-to-year basis for you
Okay.
in the presentation.
So Danny, like Aristotle, it's $13,000 a year, but the contract ends at some point, so then it
Correct.
might go up after, okay.
Correct, yeah. We accepted a 3-year for that one to stay at that fixed price.
Okay.
Okay, web-based instructional programs, 53222, that is everything curriculum for our students. So you can see this is a much more expensive account, but this is our Amplify Science curriculum, our English curriculums. We have like iReady here, Renaissance Star, those are our benchmark testing. Yeah, it's pretty much our CTE curriculum as well. So this is all our curriculum, pretty much.
All right. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
I'm looking at Pearson homeschooling K through 12.
Yeah.
What is, Do homeschool kids use that?
Yeah, that was
How does that work?
That's a new curriculum we started this year where we offer homeschooling to students. If Peter wants to jump in and weigh in on it, he can.
Sure.
But
So it's a way for us to sort of bring back some of our homeschooling students for count in our October 1st report. So we offered that to all of our homeschools, and because they participate in the curriculum that's been purchased by the Tiverton Public Schools, we can add them to our October 1st count. So we probably picked up about 8 students at about $15K per student, so that was a wise investment.
So to just go further with what Kim had asked, so this is homeschooling children who they have chosen to use a curriculum that we're providing versus just using their own, which I know they have the option to do. And since we're able to do that, we then can count them as public school students in our October counts for all of those things that they use enrollment for.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would also just want to call out Z-Space. It's something we've had for a number of years here. Is this the every year annual cost for Z-Space?
Yes.
And how long is our commitment to Z-Space?
It's annual.
So it could be canceled at any time should the district decide to do that?
I mean, we own the devices, so you're.
Right, no, I get that. I will also say that I read recently that a district very close to us, across the state line, has instituted Z-Space as well, and they made it a big community, celebration, that they were ahead of the curve, and I said, oh, we've had that for a long time. But I just wanted to point that out.
yeah, I know our CTE departments, they use them like heavily. So if you come to the open house next week, you're probably
Well,
seeing a lot
and
of them in
explain
action.
to people who are listening what they do, what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny
What was that?
or Peter, just explain to
What
people that are
Z-Space is.
listening
Oh,
what Z-Space is.
Yeah.
I can take it.
So it's AR/VR. It's augmented reality, virtual reality. So students can learn chemistry, they can learn biology, anatomy, physiology, engineering, multiple. I'm leaving out a few things.
And I think the one I saw was they had
Yeah.
a heart and they could actually
Pull it apart. and-
pull it apart and it's 3D.
I see her back there. She's
and-
ready to pounce. So come on, come on up.
I've seen it once, but.
We can bring it back if you
Yeah,
guys
it's
would like to see
impressive.
it.
So it basically, we use it in the science department for biology, anatomy, chemistry, physical science. And then downstairs, the gentleman, Billy uses it in carpentry, and Jimmy uses it in the engineering pathway as well. And then what's happening is each year it gets better and better. So it's just mind-blowing. It just basically, you can take something physically apart. So it's virtual reality. It's like, remember, you see those people that you go to those exhibits and you get the glasses and you feel you're walking around the dinosaurs. But you basically don't even need glasses on the ones that we just purchased. So you're not getting seasick. You're basically working on these things and you can pull the actual stuff out and you can actually get a different perspective of everything. It's transformative. It's really great.
And our middle school's using it as well?
Yes.
For
Yes,
science?
for science, yes.
I mean, I saw it. It was quite impressive. That was a while ago. It's probably better.
And I'm going to bring it down to an elementary school event that we're having soon. And at that, as part of a STEAM event, just so folks can see in the community what their students, as they leave the elementary school and go to the secondary level, middle and high school, what their students will be encountering as they develop and grow.
Well, and isn't that lead to the, I know when they did the presentation again a couple years ago, it reaches those students who were visual learners and the flat, that just looking at a flat piece of paper or even a model, that being able to manipulate it, turn it, tear it apart, get in there, that it really opens up a different pathway of learning for a lot of kids.
And particularly the biology teachers really like it. They talk about mitosis and meiosis. That was one of the most
Yes.
difficult things in biology. You probably all remember sailing along, and then you get to like anaphase and telophase, and you're like, what the heck? And that really kind of makes it more visual.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone
Before
else
we
have-
move on this one,
Yeah.
Oh,
Kim, did you have any more? I didn't see your notes.
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Explain Lexi, this is a great opportunity for us to make sure people understand what we're using and why and what we use it for. Explain LexiaCore.
Yeah, Alexia Core 5, that's like an English curriculum that we have. I have it K to 8, yeah, core 5. It's K to 8. We use it at middle school and elementary school, and it's it also it's not benchmark testing, but it is like it gives our teachers information on where a student is and if a student's falling behind a little bit and what they need to help them catch up. So it's assignments that the students could work on their own individually in a class and work towards the same goal that the teacher is assigning them.
So they work on it, they submit it, it sort of spits out to the teachers, hey, Joe Smith is falling behind in this area, Susie is doing really well here, but.
And then it becomes prescriptive of what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and how to fill those gaps, and it's all done online, so they're building their stamina to read online and write online. Love to bring it in, if you'd like to see it sometime. We'll get some teachers in here and show you how we're using it.
Yeah, it's just, I apologize, but this is such a good opportunity for people to understand the type of technology that we're using and the benefits that we're getting for them. So I'm apologizing for asking all these questions, but it's important for people to understand.
Great.
I don't think there's any need to apologize. I think it's very
It's good.
important.
It's great
Yeah.
And it's given me a lot of thoughts as, future meetings, things that we can perhaps showcase.
Demonstrate, sure.
Are there any additional questions on any of these instructional programs? Okay, I'll let you move forward.
Next slide. So this is web-based supplemental. Everything here we purchase with a grant, but we kind of need the money allocated to make these purchases and then get reimbursed by the grant. So everything here is mostly special ed or for students with IEPs. And we need that $31,000 pretty much as a placeholder to make this purchase, but then when we get reimbursed, we get that money back. But, to make the initial purchase in the summer, we need funds allocated for it.
Peter, Sarah, any concerns with any of these grants being shut off?
Well, if you're referring to what we all received today as a notification, I did see that it is illegal to do that with a follow-up email, so not at the moment.
Okay, so we're just going ahead with FY '26, assuming that these federal grants are going to
Absolutely.
stay in place. Okay. I guess that's all we can do for now.
Right.
Okay.
Next slide. Okay, this counts pretty much everything else. You'll see some heavy ticket items, which is like Aspen, our SIS system, student information system, Aptigee, which is our website, Frontline, which is our attendance management, and also professional growth for our teachers. And then there's a bunch of little things in here too, like Amazon Business, our school spring renewal, our Zoom renewal. So it's just kind of everything else. When we have done trimming to our budget, this is kind of the account we look for, because this is all supplemental stuff. I'll get into that a few slides later, but this is everything we feel like we still need in the district.
I see wit and wisdom is listed here.
Yes.
That's not considered a core curriculum expense?
It's
Yeah,
supplemental to the core.
it's the online supplemental curriculum materials that our teachers use.
Okay. And we're still happy with Aspen?
Yeah, we've looked at some other ones, but the price goes up. And so we're happy with Aspen for the price we pay.
Okay.
Next slide. This is leases, memberships, and subscriptions. So everything in maintenance and repairs is kind of budgeted to actual based off what we spent last year. This is kind of just what the cost is to get a vendor in here to work on something if we have any issues. Typically, it's about $100 to $200 an hour, so we're looking at somewhere between 15 to 30 hours, for each of these different companies that typically come in and do our repairs. Like Shanix is our PA system, Oakers is a lot of our internet stuff, and then communication systems, it's like the door buzzers, to let people in and stuff. The next one's our internet. You see, we're on our last year of that 3-year term. That's also, it might look a little low, like we only pay $6,000 for internet. I just want to bring up that is E-rate Category 1 funded. When we accepted an E-rate bid 2 years ago now, our percentage was the district pays 40%, E-rate pays 60%. So that's why it looks like we only, pay $6,000 for internet, and that might be low.
Is
They can-
E-rate, is that a federal or a state initiative?
It's a state. I don't think it's not federal, it's a state.
Yay.
And just to kind of bring it back to the capital discussion we had last night, we were just approved to spend $20,000 on wiring and cabling related to this E-rate,
Correct.
which I don't understand, but.
Yeah, and our split for that, which is category 2, is like 50-50. So the project we'd be accepting is more than that 20,000, but we have to pay 20,000, and I could accept a project that's 40,000. Because we pay 50 and then the state pays the other 50.
Not the impression I had. The impression I had is we were paying out 20 and getting 10 back.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
correct.
That's correct, yeah. That is the cost of the project. I was just saying we could accept, like, that's just how E-rate works, you know.
Okay.
We have-
Sorry to put you on such a hot seat, but
Yeah,
it's important that we all kind of understand this stuff, because the tech budget has come under a fair amount of scrutiny. So I think it's important that we all are familiar with what that spending is.
Yeah, I just want to point out, Diane, too, is E-rate, that 2,500 that's an obligated cost in order to receive these savings
Okay.
as well.
So that's above and beyond. Okay.
third line is our web-based instructional for library. That's our software that our high school uses, middle school, and our elementary school uses as their library software.
Hold on just a second. Tiverton Middle School doesn't have a library person.
Correct.
Are they
And-
using the
No,
library?
we
I'm
actually-
hearing they're not.
We cut that cost, so it used to be like 9,200, and now it's down to 71 because we cut the middle school out.
Okay, thank you.
And then the fourth one is our equipment rentals. So this is 6 copiers that we currently have on a lease agreement for, roughly $250 a month, and it comes out to that total of 18,000. And then paper and ink is paper and ink purchase district-wide, so that's pretty much based off our budget to actual from last year of what we spend on paper and ink.
That's crazy money. But
What's
big
the bulk
operation.
of that cost, Inc.?
I feel like it's both. It's pretty 50-50. I think it's probably more on the paper side. too,
So
than
we're
maybe-
still, our curriculum and our teaching is still very paper-based, I take it? Or it's really not, because it's not, I mean, I don't even know what a ream of paper is, so maybe it's very reasonable.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. You're talking, if you split that 20/20, 20,000, 20,000.
Like, yeah, 5 schools.
Yeah, because Danny and I have been looking into bulk paper, but then you're talking, where do we store pallets and stuff, to save a couple
Right.
bucks, but,
Right,
but it's basically, I think that's probably 2 or 3 pallets, which is,
Yeah.
you're talking 5 buildings,
exactly, okay, thanks.
And the last line is just, tools, cables, adapters as we need them. That's a placeholder number. I don't think we've ever hit 10,000, but, just in case. That's where we kind of budget that there. Our next slide is just continued off of the last page. Cameras and alarm security, that's our cost for the year, not including the install that we, went through in the past. This is just our recurring cost for, monthly monitoring and, cloud-based storage for those systems. And then, same thing for the next, that's our IP-centric phones, so that's all the phones in all the classrooms, and our red phones that go directly to like the police department. That's just our phone bill for the year, all 5 schools.
do we have a number of cellular devices that are distributed as well? How many of those?
It's not high, is it 11? Yeah.
Okay.
Is that in here?
That's included in that Verizon.
It is
yeah.
included in there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Our next slide, so these are the cuts that we have made going into this year to bring, our costs down. I believe if you kind of total everything else up with these cuts, this is a number that you guys have already received in the past prior to this, this budgeting meeting. These are the softwares that we lost. The district, working with admin and some teachers, they felt that we could get rid of these softwares, that we had other softwares that, kind of fill those gaps, and they were okay with these losses. Obviously, it'd be great to have all of these, but the teachers felt that learning wouldn't be impacted if we, released these softwares.
Okay.
And then on the next slide, this is, where we'd go moving forward if more cuts needed to be made. If we could keep these softwares, great, but if we had to cut them, this is where our next cuts would be made. Then after this, then we'd have to start looking at those big ticket curriculum items, find competitors, see if there's something cheaper, but this is stuff that we have that we feel comfortable we could get rid of, even though we'd love to keep them, but, this is kind of the next where we go. And you could go to the next slide if you'd like, but that's it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Good.
Mr. Andrade, with the transportation budget, what we've all been looking forward to.
So I will begin, as everyone knows, we are in the process of a 5-year transportation contract has ended. What it was a 3-year rolling 2-year, 5-year contract that started in 2020. It's up in June 30th, 2025. The RFP was actually submitted this morning. So we'll get results back February 24th is the opening of the bids. So there's about a month.
You mean the one company that will bid, right?
We sent it to 80. I'm hoping for the best.
Okay.
Yes. And what I mean by that is RFP was submitted out into the world, and there was a email that was submitted to 80 vendors, so hopefully we have multiple. So based on that, line 1 of transportation budget is statewide. This is a separate UCOA account, but still part of our transportation. This is for all our out-of-district placements. We had a lot of conversation around statewide recently. This is out-of-district placements, ESSA and McKinney-Vento. So as I've been stating multiple times, you can see the jump. FY24 was our highest year in the last 5 years at $686,000. We're projecting FY25 to jump to almost $1 million. And then FY26, it does come down a bit because of situations.
Could you elaborate on what ESSA and McKinney-Vento mean?
Yeah, I'll let Sarah elaborate on both.
So ESSA is students who are placed in foster care or group homes. Oftentimes, children jump from group homes to group homes or foster cares for one reason or another. And when that was happening, they would change school districts every time they moved from a foster home or a group home. So now there's a whole process. We have a best interest determination phone call with DCYF and the 2 districts that the student may be jumping in between from, and determine what is the best interest of the student. So if the student lived in Tiverton for 6 years and has some connections to administration or peers, and is in Providence for some time, but reunification is to come back to Tiverton and live with his or her family, they may stay a resident of Tiverton, and then therefore we have to bus the child back and forth from Providence. So that's what ESSA is. And then McKinney-Vento is homeless, students who are homeless. So they may be living in temporary housing in another district, another town in Rhode Island, and we bus them back and forth and actually share that cost, though, with the district that the student is residing in, just for the McKinney-Vento part.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I can say Sarah and her assistant general monitor this weekly with the RIDE to make sure all actuals are being charged correctly. It's a lot of work. Next several are on the same UCOA account of transportation. So this is where you start to see your jump, and this was a budgetary jump based on a number I spoke to with a consultant, and this is what's being used in the East Bay, because our RFP is not only with Tiverton, we go out to bid with all East Bay, which is Not all of East Bay, I should say, but Little Compton, Bristol Warren, and Middletown and Tiverton. So we're projecting, we ended FY '24 at a little over $1 million. Budget for this year is about 1.1, and we're projecting 1.2, which is almost about a 6.5% increase, FY '25 to our budget for FY '26. Going down, same type of increase, 6 to 7%, but you also have your special education. So what that is statewide handles majority of our special education students, but we were able to bring some of that in-house over the last couple of years. Hoping to do that more in the future, but to be determined. Next is your vocational and technical students that attend Rogers and Newport. Also your non-public school programs such as St. Phil, All Saints, etc. And your athletic and extracurricular. This is athletics, band, field trips, late buses. So you can see in total, it's about a 3% increase, but the bulk of it is the transportation that's going to about 6 to 7%. And then you have your bus monitors and assistants that's also being, we pay First Student right now, our bus contractor, to provide bus assistants and monitors for regular elementary, secondary to and from school and the bus stop, and also special ed IEPs requiring specific aids in those buses. Any questions?
I do.
Don't-
Go ahead.
Just one quick statement. If any of us are familiar with the term of unfunded mandates, this is a very big example of an unfunded mandate where we, as Tiverton schools, are required to provide the transportation for non-public schools. So, we are paying to transport those students on top of paying for textbooks, et cetera. So just, and we do not receive, as far as I know, any kind of school funding
And
reimbursements.
to add to that, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, is a recent article I read was Rhode Island districts actually pay more than Texas.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, I read that.
Yeah, I was surprised based on the size.
Yeah.
Yep. It's one of the problems with Rhode Island, unfortunately, is its small size. Everything is more expensive. Anyone else have questions, comments?
I do. I just noticed this vocational technicals Rogers School. What about students that go to Portsmouth and Met? Do they also get busing?
No, oh, sorry. I thought you were speaking out loud.
I was going to let you go, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we don't provide that. We pay a tuition for those students to go there, but the transportation is beholden on the parents.
Including the Met?
Yep.
Okay.
Why is that?
Yeah, how do they decide who we pay for, who we don't?
Yeah.
Good question.
Well, we can look that answer up for you, but we pay, for CTE, we pay a pure pupil expenditure that really has our transportation as part of that. So, for example, a student who goes to Portsmouth for one of their CTE programs, we're paying a per pupil expenditure about $15,000. In that is transportation. So Portsmouth now owns it. So either the parent picks it up or Portsmouth picks it up.
But isn't the Met more considered to be a charter school? Or maybe I just don't understand it.
It's, yeah,
You wanna take it?
alternative high school.
So we wouldn't be required to bus to a charter school?
Again, that's parental choice. We pay a tuition.
Okay. We all learn something new every day.
But we have to pay for private schools, transportation.
Right.
Yep.
But we're not paying the
Okay.
tuition to the private schools. Parents are paying that tuition.
Right.
And the private school is part of the legislation committee that's ongoing with the state of Rhode Island right now.
Well, and I think the theory was, I remember hearing when they were proposing it, and this was a while ago, when they were talking, that they pay taxes and they don't use the public schools. So if they're choosing to go to private schools and pay, that they felt that that was not a huge burden for us to have
Pay
to
the
bus those
buses.
children for the tax dollars that they do spend in those communities. That was the theory.
Well, and it's understandable, but I would also push back and say, okay, they're paying the taxes to the town. They're not paying the taxes to the school department. And we're shouldering the cost as part of our appropriations. So it's, you know, there's holes to be punched into it. And the committee that is currently looking into transportation costs at the state, really, they're digging very far in. And, you know, the hope is that they can find some savings for all.
And it's not all private, they have to be in a certain
A certain
region.
range, exactly.
Yeah, so if you're sending your
Yeah,
kid up
region.
to Moses
Each
Brown, you're
park.
not paying for it.
No, yeah, it goes by regions. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, with our last contract, we had significant increases, and it looks like we're expecting additional significant increases. So I think it's something we're going to have to continue to look for ways to be more efficient with the transportation somehow. I don't know how that's going to be, but we have to push for that. Okay. Next up is special education. Mrs. Kraeger.
Dan, you want to put up the special education presentation? Thank you. You can go through the first two slides. That first slide just goes over Tiverton Public Schools' mission, vision, and portrait of a graduate, and our special education department strives to support that. Our student services department is made up of myself, my admin assistant, and we have a part-time early childhood coordinator. I did indicate some of our special education staff there, special ed teachers, teacher assistants, school psychologists, social workers, and speech pathologists that are all within our budget, salary and benefits budget. We do have a board-certified behavior analyst on staff, a .5, that is actually funded through the IDEA CRP grant. We also have contracted services to support our students in the classrooms. You'll see on there that we also have school psychologists, speech pathologists, and teacher assistants listed under contract purchase services. When we are unable to fill a position that we have in-house, we do look at contracting those services so we can fulfill requirements of students' IEPs. So this year, we do have a speech pathologist and a 1.4 speech pathologist through contract agencies. School psychologists are contracted to come in and do some evaluations for students. And then we do have a few teacher assistants at this point that we were unable to fill in-house and have contracted those out.
You also you list a nurse here. Is that a nurse
So that's more of
assigned directly to?
Exactly, assigned to a student or two within our district who require that level of medical support throughout the school day.
So these are not our typical school nurses that cover the entire?
Exactly,
building.
that's in addition to, and just personalized. And all of us work together, of course, with our principals and our general educators. No one does this alone. To support all of the school district's goals there that I put in, and IDEA and all of the special education goals. We work together to ensure that those are happening. And I think it's also important to say, even though I say that under the Student Services Department, there's special educators, teacher assistants, school psychs, and social workers, all of our staff works with all kids now. Special education is just not a standalone. We have school psychologists working with students who don't have IEPs. We have special ed teachers working with kids who don't have IEPs. And it's really part of that multi-tiered systems of support framework that we have in our schools, so all hands-on approach to every student. Just looking at our student classification, this is year to year. As you can see, we are pretty consistent in the number of students we service. You can see that about a third of our students who have an IEP are serviced under the category of learning disability. Second to that is other health impairment. You've heard me a little bit talk about this before, but that's students who have a acute or chronic health impairment that's adversely impacting their education. So something like ADHD, Tourette syndrome, diabetes, anxiety disorder. So those are some health impairments that impact a student's performance and require some sort of specialized instruction. We have, same amount of students with autism, students with developmental delay, that category is for students ages 3 to 9. At 9 years old, we would reevaluate a child who's still eligible under that to determine if there's another category that a child may be determined eligible for. There are other categories of services that students are eligible for. As you know, if it is under 10, that is some personal identifiable information, so I don't include that, but there are 13 categories. So if you were to add all those numbers up, you will not get 337 students. There are some other students that are eligible under other categories.
Could you explain what some of those other categories might be?
Sure. Deaf or hard of hearing, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment. Any questions with that? Moving on to the next slide, just to review the continuum of services special education offers, starting out with least restrictive at consultation and moving to most restrictive, it's hospital or medical homebound instruction. Each one of these little areas actually has a continuum in and of itself. So if you look at specialized instruction inside the regular education classroom, some students may only need that a couple times a week based on what their disability and IEP goal said, outline, but there may be students who receive that 5 days a week, and same with each of those areas. But the majority of our students are serviced within the school setting. I'll quickly review these slides, although they take up 3 or 4 slides. Just reviewing our specialized programming. Actually, at our CLAC meeting earlier, was it earlier this week or last week? Last week. We were reviewing these, and specialized programs, they change based on the students we have in front of us. So this description here, sort of an overall description, but certainly can just change based on the students. So we have 2 preschool programs, one at Ranger and one at Pecasset. They are both an AM and a PM class. We have students with IEPs learning alongside students who are role model children. Those peers are tuitioned into our program and serve as the role models. And we have increased our number of students who are participating as role models too in the last year.
Sarah, is there a wait list now for
There's not a wait
peers?
list. There may be in 1 or 2 of our programs. We still have openings though.
Okay.
And the students who are tuitioned in, it's not like you have to go to Pecasset if you're a Pecasset, if you will be a Pecasset student when you turn 5. They can go to any of the programs. And then specialized programs at our elementary schools. We have intensive special ed programs. Those are located at Fort Barton. These serve students who really require more of a modified curriculum. They're in the smaller class for the majority of the day, and students who need a lower student-teacher ratio. Our students are integrated throughout the day with our general ed peers as much as possible and as appropriate. And even sometimes we do something like reverse inclusion, where the students are in a small group setting, but we have our regular ed students come into the small group setting. At Pecasset, we have a program called Pathways to Success. This really supports students who have more social emotional needs or some behavioral challenges throughout the day, and that's really worked on in conjunction with all of the academic supports and interventions as well. So students here are also within the general ed setting as much as possible, and really we're working on students learning how to manage their emotions. And sometimes our students have big emotions and we work with them to be handled more appropriately. And then that kind of follows through our middle school and high school. So similar to our Pathways to Success program. We have a program, we changed the wording a little bit because it's more developmentally appropriate for middle school students. We call it Reaching Independence Through Structured Education, our RISE program. Structured pretty much the same as our Pathways program, again, working on some of that social emotional regulation. These students do go into the regular classroom as the students get older. It's important for them to be in front of a highly qualified math or English teacher when they get into 7th or 8th grade. So oftentimes the special education teacher or teacher assistant will go into the regular classroom with them and help them monitor their behavior. And then we have an intensive special education program at the middle school too. The description of that is similar to what I read at the elementary level. And then we have our life skills program at Tiverton High School. This starts to look a little bit different in high school because we're really working on essential life skills like independence, employment, and daily living skills, getting our students, or young adults, I should say, ready for life after high school. In addition to that, we really promote the inclusion piece. Our students are very much a member of our school community. You can catch them sometimes. They have a, is Lee still here? They have a coffee cart, and they do that on a weekly basis. They deliver coffee, and they make coffee and different pastries and deliver them to our staff and to our admin staff too down at the office. So it's kind of a fun activity that they do. And then this is a new program. We call it the Succeed program. If you recall, last year we had some students who are at East Bay Career Academy, and we have them back in our school. And this program really supports the student. They kind of just need a little bit of an alternative high school program. Changing classes is challenging for the students. The social expectations may be challenging for them, and kind of balancing that with the academic expectation. So sometimes they just need a smaller class size, a teacher and a teacher assistant that are there cheering them on, and getting them to reach their goals. One of the things that we do with this as well is we have a vocational piece that's connected to this program. So getting our students, one of our students goes to Ranger School, for example. She's interested in becoming a teacher assistant or a teacher later in life. So she goes down to Ranger as a work study and works with students at Ranger. So we try and get them into some vocational areas as well. All of these students in the Life Skills and Succeed program have access to the CTE programs as well.
Sarah, I noticed you didn't mention the transition program.
I always forget that one. I did at CELAC as well. The transition program for students 18 to 22. It's going to look a little bit different next year than it does this year. Right now, we only have 3 students who are in our transition program this year, so we're doing something pretty individualized for them where they are out in the community the majority of the time. They come back to the high school and work with our high school life skills teacher. At that time, the students who are in our life skills high school program are out at work studies or in their CTE classes out in the regular program, so our teacher works with those transition students at that time. Next year, we do have a larger group of students for our transition program. That's something that's in our budget where we will be looking to add a teacher for the transition program. We'll have 8 students. We have 5 students who are graduating this year from high school. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sarah, as soon as they turn 22, is that it?
Yes.
They don't get
go
to finish the school year?
No, they
just
do adult
done?
services right at their birthday.
Okay.
But there's a lot of work with the adult service agency, really from 19 to 22.
Okay.
So the next day should look very similar. The goal is that their last day in school looks the same as it will for adult services.
So then they move into Buddha?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
That would be the funding agency that picks them up.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
So all of that, main components to our special education budget: salaries and benefits, contracted purchase services, transportation that Mr. Andrade just went over, and tuition to out-of-district placements. So I tried to put a graph together there of those components other than the salaries and benefits. The area in pink, if I could just go, that first column there, that projected FY '25 is what we projected this time last year. So January of last year is what we projected for each of those areas. The second column is what we're going to project based on our actuals right now. That's what we project closing out the year at. So you can see what
So
the
we have some good
increase or
news?
decrease.
I'm a
are.
little confused. I thought part of the budget deficit that we heard was that we were going to have an increase in am
I think it's the purchase service that's increased. So if you look at those three lines, that out-of-district tuition and purchase services, sometimes those are discussed as one. So contracted nurses service, so that's a purchase service.
Ah.
Does that make sense?
So-
Deb, I want to make sure it's
so-
clear.
So Brendan, when we were talking about running a deficit this year in a line item, it's not one of these?
It's under the contracted.
Statewide and statewide.
Statewide transportation and the contracted purchase services. Contracted purchase services would be such contracted nurses services.
Oh, so
OT,
that's,
PT.
because that's why we only see a little bit going up in contracted, but a lot going up in transportation. So it's in those lines.
Correct.
Okay,
You can see
perfect.
transportation right there.
So, yeah, it's always under the special ed umbrella, and people automatically think out-of-district placement, but it's,
Right.
in this case, it's purchase services and statewide transportation.
You already accounted for this slight decline in out-of-district tuition, Brendan, okay.
Correct, but
Thank you.
that changes every month.
Yeah, you'll see the next slide. I was going to say, but just like keep a star there, remember an asterisk. So when we make the projected budget for this year, we are taking it from where we think we'll end the school year, so that second column, and projecting it to what 2026 looks like. That out-of-district placement, even though there are increases in the rates for out-of-district placements, the number of students who are either turning 22 or moving, or looks like they're coming out of out-of-district placements, that's how we make those changes there. But again, the purchase services go up a little bit, and then we did kind of decrease that statewide transportation as well. So why I said put an asterisk there, if you look at the next slide, this is just like, I was trying to put together an example of how fluid and how out-of-district costs fluctuate throughout the year. So like, just look at month to month. So we try and put a projection together, but that's what we're working with. So you can see from August to October, we went up $200,000, but October to November, in just 1 month, we go back down $160,000. Why, you may
So-
ask?
Well, you're also projecting for FY '26, 2.6 million, which is nowhere near what we're seeing here on this chart.
I'm projecting,
Projected
that?
FY '26,
Yeah.
out-of-district tuition, 2.6 million.
so even if you look at what we're projecting the end of the year, that is less than what you see on what you're looking at on current January. That's because we have students turning 22, so they will no longer be with us and not receiving that service, or students that we know who are moving. So we make that projection as well.
Okay, so taking it back to the second column, projected FY '25 through January is 2.8 million
Yep.
numbers. How does that fit into this graphic?
That's that next chart. So if you were to keep going January to June, we're projecting that will go down a little bit
Okay,
based on what we currently know. 22-year-olds, kids moving, kids going to a less restrictive environment.
Bigger point being, it's hard to predict.
and it can go the other way as well.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Large, high-level
Right.
point. I
Based
think
on what we know
is-
now,
it's-
we can give you
It's
this.
very volatile. It could lead to savings, it could lead to way higher, it's just volatile.
And that volatility, speaks to the fact that I think we need to better prepare and have funds available to manage that volatility as best we can. We can't be, well, we think it's 2.6, that's it, there's the budget, 2.6. If we get additional children come in who need these services, we have to pay them, and that 2.6 will not stand. So we have to have the ability to turn and pivot should we have additional children. This is something that we're struggling with this year, but we do
You used to
definitely
have
need
fund
to
balance
fix
to
that.
take care of that,
Yep.
Or Medicaid.
or Medicaid, correct?
That's usually what
Yep.
it's used for.
We'll come back and talk about all of this as we continue, but I just wanted to call it out now.
And then, Danny, you can just show that next slide, just so they can see pictures of one of our preschool programs and our kids working.
So just quickly, the budget questions. So salaries, obviously, you'll be speaking to at a different point. Out of district, is that its own UCOA?
Yeah, out of district
Okay.
tuition is.
Contracted purchase services, will we see that as its own line?
That's multiple UCOAs, but.
It is,
yeah.
okay. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
connect it
But these all have
to the
50
budget.
next to it, right? Those purchase
Because this is a
services?
piece of it, but you're telling me that when I
Yeah,
look at it,
multiple
it's not
things,
going to be all of it.
No, yeah.
And then statewide transportation, obviously, we
Is
just
its own
went through,
UCOA,
it's
but
part of
yes.
total
Yeah.
transportation.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just trying to connect those numbers to what we're going
Mm-hmm.
to see on the budget. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sarah, that was
You're
very
welcome.
helpful.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you, and
Very
thank you. You
helpful.
are all always supportive of special education and special ed practices, so thank you.
All righty. Our next agenda item, deficit closing strategies. Dr. Sanchioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you do not have this in your packet. Literally work with the chair, the business manager, all of our administrators, and literally we're finalizing numbers today. But we'll put this in front of you as a starting point to talk about where we currently stand. So all the presentations you heard today sort of all factor into these numbers that we're about to share with you to give you a perspective of where we're looking at for next year for FY26. So right away, we're just going to, get right into it, and we're predicting a deficit of 1.6, almost 1.6 million and some change, and that deficit is calculated by just taking what we're doing this year, moving it ahead 1 year, doing all the appropriate mandated adjustments, as you heard, for transportation, for special education, for our energy, and our contracts. No new programs, nothing like that. We put in a small increase in state aid. Right now, the preliminary number has us up 16,000, so we'll take that as one number to put out for you today. We've assumed a 4% increase from the town. I know that's a big assumption, but the deficit is also pretty big, so I think we want to advocate for that. And we're anticipating, again, a placeholder for technology and curriculum, so we talked a little bit about that in Danny's presentation here of 313,000. So the first place, anytime you have a deficit, you go right to your expenses. You want to protect your people. That's our greatest asset, and we want to move forward to that. I know I sent to you this Friday a reminder of what the cuts we made in expenses last year, and that was 200,000. As you know, our expense accounts are really budgeted to actuals. It's hard to make a lot of difference there. We've identified an additional $40,000 in expense reduction, so that's brought the deficit down a little bit. We will provide you a line-by-line expense account for review on February 11th. I know it's the chair's goal to try to start making some decisions on that date. Today is just to kind of give you the numbers, where we stand, and give you some information there. I got a star there with fuel, oil, electricity, gas, and operating supplies. So when I say we've cut expenses by 40,000, there also are some savings in these lines here, or some reductions in these line items. However, they've already been washed out by the predicted benefit increase. So we'll show it to you in the line by line. The 40,000 we could show you in our curriculum lines and things like of that nature. So part of it is also, our state aid's predicted on our enrollment. And so you can see our enrollment has been reducing. This is the actual October 1st head counts reported to RIDE by the fiscal year. And so you can see this year we reported 1520, and so we're down about 40 students from last year, and then you can see the chart as you go across the years. And it allows us to look at staffing, obviously, when you have a reduced number of students, but the staff that we have been eliminating, is beyond what would be reduced as a result of the student population. And again, just to put in perspective, I want to give the chair compliments here. She created this chart, and this shows that, it's not just Tiverton that has this enrollment reduction. It's across the East Bay, it's across the state of Rhode Island, it's actually across New England. If you go to the last column there, I'll just focus on that other than Barrington, Bristol Warren's down 19%, Portsmouth's down 14, Middletown's down 18, Newport's down 17, Tiverton's down 17, Jamestown's down 18, Little Compton's down 10. It's not a Tiverton phenomena, it's across the state of Rhode Island. Look at the population of students who are in school, it's just decreasing. So you go to expenses, you cut as much out of expenses, you drop the deficit as low as you possibly can get it, and it just comes down to personnel. And this is where it gets excruciatingly hard. As educators, we hate to see this. So, again, we're just putting things on the table for your consideration. No decisions tonight, just for understanding that if we continue to keep 3 elementary schools, it would necessitate 12 positions. And so, again, working with the entire administrative team to come up with this, it would be SEL staff at the elementary schools, 3 positions, some specialists, 2 positions, 2 additional teaching positions at the elementary level, 3 positions at the high school, and 2 positions at the middle school. And they're all positions right now that, we critically need, and they do great things for our students. And the other thing always to kind of just keep considering is if we were to condense and go to 2 elementary schools, again, based on population and so forth, it would necessitate 14 positions, but they're different positions. They're all teaching positions. There would be 9 positions from the elementary due to consolidation, 3 positions from the high school, and 2 positions from the middle school. But, what it is, it's services than the schools would have. So as I try to elucidate there, that the elementary schools would continue to have an SEL staff member and a reading and math specialist, where in the previous slide, those positions would be eliminated from our elementary schools other than Pocasset, which is a Title I school. So I just want to set you up for all the information you need to make some good decisions, confront the brutal facts, and make a series of good decisions. So at the next meeting, we'll review the personnel impacts based upon the positions that I'm talking about this evening with our principals. You can ask any questions about the impact there. Brendan, again, will cover energy and the benefits. You're going to see that, benefits is another thing that we track pretty closely, and it has a significant impact on our budget. We'll provide options for grade configurations and school alignments so that you can see that, whether it's, continuing with the 5 schools we have, or if there's going to be any changes there. And I just want to implore to the committee that if there's any other information you need to allow you to make the best decision on the behalf of our students, as the chair said at the beginning, the key is to protect the welfare of our students at all times. We want to make sure you have that. So this is sort of our current state of affairs and some information for you.
Thank you. For the benefit of my colleagues on the committee, this is admittedly somewhat high level this evening, and it is purposely intended to give you some food for thought. I think the single biggest statistic that we have to come to grips with is our enrollment. In the last 10 years, Tiverton's dropped 17.5% in enrollment. In the last 20 years, we're down 32% from where we were 20 years ago. That is beyond significant. It's a major change in the student population here in Tiverton. We have to understand that running schools is not free. Our teachers are here as their career, as their livelihood. Our support staff and our administrators are also here working hard as earning their livelihood. There are things that I think we can continue to look for efficiency-wise, but we will come nowhere near the amount of money that we're short. We have discussed this quote-unquote structural deficit for a number of years. We made a conscious decision by vote last June to essentially gut our entire fund balance in order to make the cuts less impactful for FY '25. I don't think in FY '26 we have any way around this. We have to face these cuts. It will be, what we will be doing is recognizing the fact that we are indeed a small school district, and we need to start acting as such. It may very well cost us services to our students. It may, and I hope it doesn't, but it could, it may very well result in one less elementary school. These are decisions that we need to contemplate and we need to make rather quickly. I will tell you that if we do make the determination that we are going to consolidate our elementary schools, and again, this will be done by vote by this body, if we do make that determination, we will still continue to use the Fort Barton School for educational purposes. And that addresses any issues with respect to the fact that the town still has bonds that they're paying on that. As long as we continue to use that school for some type of educational purpose, and I know Dr. Sanchioni's been doing an awful lot of research on this, we will be in line with keeping it as a quote-unquote educational facility. Anyway, I want you all to consider this. I want you all to think of your questions. We will continue to go through our budget presentations at our February 11th meeting. And then if there are any additional statistics you'd like, I encourage you to reach out to the superintendent and ask those questions. Use this time to start asking these questions. Let's move forward for the benefit of the students. It's all of the students that we have here. And it isn't just one cohort, it's all of them. And we need to do whatever is best for all of them. Are there any questions with respect to this presentation this evening?
What's the enrollment number in 2024?
I'm sorry?
What's the enrollment number in 2024?
It was for Tiverton, 1562. And
That was
this,
in 2023, I think.
no,
I was looking for 2024.
the
Excuse me.
fiscal '24, which ended June 30th of 2024, it was 1562. The current fiscal year, we've got 1520. And this is as of the October enrollment.
October 1st.
Reporting. And I can, if you, Dr. Sanchioni, you're going to send these slides out to everyone.
First thing this morning.
Keep in mind, it's not just Tiverton. Every single school district is continuing to lose students. The minor exception with Barrington, they're like a different, they're certainly a different community. They're a different wealth base, and they have a long history of high spending on their students, and they get the results. Tiverton is not in that financial situation. And then we have, some of these smaller districts. I will call out Little Compton specifically. They are now accepting students for tuition from any district. So parents who choose to send their children for anywhere K through 8 to Wilbur and McMahon may do so at a very low tuition cost, and it's actually a loss to the district. But that's how they are managing to continue to exist. You have Jamestown, they're down to 400 kids. It's just, statewide, with the, if you looked at the statistics statewide, which I have done in the past, in the urban core regions, it's really the charter schools that are decimating the public schools, providing the alternatives. And, one could argue that it's, the public schools are not doing their jobs, and that's what gave rise to the charter schools, and that's a problem that that the public schools throughout the state have to deal with. It's not as big an issue for us, but it's just the fact that there are less children. We have, obviously, you have children who are choosing to go to Portsmouth for CTE. We know this. We're doing our very best to try to attract students from outside of Tiverton for our CTE programs as well. You have children who are homeschooled. Tiverton has a long history of having a fairly significant homeschool population, and COVID only increased that. You have people who, absolutely believe in homeschooling their children, whether it be for religious purposes or otherwise, and they're doing it. And we have to respect that. That's fine. But I think our job is to, understand the population we do have and make sure that we can provide the very best that we possibly can with the resources we have.
I just have so if we're going to be digging in on February 11th, can we agree to a date that we would all commit to having our request? Because I have quite a few additional requests for information that I would like. Can we all agree to a date that we would, and I'll make sure, I think if one of us asks for data, we should all get the data.
Of course.
So can we all agree to a date that we'd have our requests in? Because we need to have the information to us at a minimum by Friday for a February 11th meeting. I don't have anything specific about this because we just saw it, but, can we agree to what that date would be, guys? That we would get data or questions for data in? Because that'll give everybody, we want to give our administrative team a chance to get the information together, but we also need to have that information in our hands by Friday.
That's an excellent point. Can we agree that all of the inquiries be put forth to the administration by next Monday, February 3rd? Would that give you enough time? Dr. Sanchioni, Mr. Andrade?
If we get it on the 3rd to have it prepared for the 7th, yes. Yeah.
And that's generally when our package goes out?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, most of the information, we can anticipate what you're looking for. It's data we typically have prepared or can easily prepare for you.
Okay.
And
So how
again-
does that sound, the 3rd?
Yep, that's fine. And again, I would just ask that, and we don't have to send it to each other, but any requests we send to you guys, you make sure that we all get copies of
Absolutely.
those,
Yep.
of that data. So that, we're sharing information that that everybody found
We all
found
need to be on the
interesting and
same page.
useful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Perry?
Dave Perry, Bramble Way. Seeing this presentation tonight, and I know I can't speak for the entire council, but I'm sure that the council will be willing to work with the school committee and make sure that whatever we can do, we will do. But after seeing the presentation tonight, I think we need more meetings together. Once you people get some information, I think we need that information as quickly as you do, so that we can try and solve this problem as quickly as we can to help you people. Let's not, hopefully we can learn from our mistakes from last year.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that is why we will not be dragging this out.
Correct. So that's all I can say. Let's please learn from the mistakes
But
from
we all
last year.
have to also remember that we have to be realistic
Absolutely.
as a town.
And we have to be transparent,
Yep,
and we can get through this. We really can.
and that's exactly what we're doing here.
So if we have our budgets, if we make some decisions in February, when's it, March 19th, is it due? Start having meetings, right?
I totally agree. Let's get these meetings started as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So that
I
we
haven't
can-
heard any budget meeting discussions at the town council level yet.
Right.
Have they started?
No. But I mean,
I
this
mean,
is-
so
this
at
is
a minimum,
important.
we have to have stuff to you by March 19th, but what I'm hearing is if we have something by the end of February, go ahead and forward it and let's
Absolutely.
start those meetings.
Let's get it going.
Well,
This is important.
Yeah, okay.
It's important for the town, it's important for our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else All right, moving on. Item F, Policy Development Revision and Review, Request Review of 200 Series Board Operations. So I put this on the agenda. Ms. Paquette and I had our first Policy Subcommittee meeting this evening, and we have committed to meeting monthly throughout the rest of the school year at least. And that'll be happening just prior to the second meeting of each month. We will have any first reads prepared for you at the subsequent meeting. This request is for the school committee to, go ahead and approve the policy subcommittee to take a look at the 200 series of our policies, which is board operations. It's something that we haven't touched in my tenure. And I feel that, in reading through them, they're just as outdated as some of the other things we've tackled through the years. And I think they need to be updated to reflect the realities of a school board operating in a school system in today's day and age. So if I could have a motion to refer the 200 series to the policy subcommittee, I would welcome it.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we now have our agenda for our next meeting. Thank you. All right, announcements and future meetings. Obviously, February 11th is our next regularly scheduled full school committee meeting. And we will, again, have budget updates on personnel, benefits, and energy.
Dr. Sanchioni, could I ask that we have a finance subcommittee meeting at 6 on that day as well? I think you can have the topic just be FY '25 and '26 budgets. I'm not sure how much the subcommittee can do since we're all going to be so involved this year, but it might be an opportunity for Kim and I to see if there's anything else that subcommittee can do to assist. And we can sort of talk it through
Consider
then.
it done.
Thank
So it's, you want to have it 6 o'clock on the 11th?
6, yeah.
And then following that, we have a meeting scheduled for February 25th, and I'm just taking a look at my calendar real quick to understand where that is. That's a Tuesday night. Yep. We don't have holidays impacting us quite yet. So those are our next 2 regularly scheduled meetings. There'll now be a finance subcommittee meeting as well. This evening, we will not be holding an executive session. So we will table that and move directly to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.